Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We'll just let a few more folk in. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. The CAN team here. I'm Leanne. If you've not met me before, I'm the lead for CAN in Scotland. This session here is all about overcoming common challenges in fostering recruitment. I'll introduce you to my colleagues who are going to present a little bit today in a second. But really what we wanted to do was just put on a general webinar today and just a chance really to talk about challenges that we see ourselves working with councils across the country. We're starting to work with councils now in Scotland, but we have been working with councils south of the border for over 10 years now. So quite a lot of experience with the common challenges that we see, and a bit of shared learning here for the session today. Also, we've been working with Falkirk Council. If folk were on the last webinar, which focused on user search, we did mention a bit around that we are working with a few councils in and around foster care recruitment. And it's probably a good time really to give a bit of an update about how Falkirk Council's journey is going, and they've had a few results. So we just wanted to do a bit of a case study and a walk through what we've done with the team there. Thought it'd be useful to give that overview, and then we'll probably present between us, we reckon, about 25-30 minutes, and then we really wanted to give over the rest of the session any questions and answers that you wanted to bring up as a collective really on this webinar. Please do feel free to ask what would be useful for you to ask us as a team who specialise in digital. So who are CAN? In case you've not been on a webinar with us before, it's really brilliant to see a lot of new folk actually sign up for this webinar. We work exclusively with public sector organisations, and we specialise in paid media solutions. Majority of CAN staff do actually have public sector backgrounds. They have actually come from, worked in public sector teams for quite an extensive amount of time. So we do very much have in-house experience and very much know what councils actually go through on the daily, and the challenges that you have with things like procurement and, difficult things like that. Can I just ask folk to mute if they're joining, please? Thanks very much. And we run campaigns primarily digital. We do a bit out of home stuff as well, but for the purpose of this webinar, we are going to just talk about digital solutions across a wide range of services. And we've run fostering campaigns for dozens of councils now for many years. So lots of experience in the team, probably seen every situation you can possibly shake a stick at in terms of what you might be dealing with at the moment. So who am I? I'm Leanne. My background is communications. I'm CIPR chartered practitioner. I've worked in comms for over 20 years. Most of that was in youth health, mental health, sexual health, youth and children related services until last year when I joined CAN and went to the dark side, away from public sector and into private sector. I am the dedicated resource for Scotland. I live in Edinburgh. I've lived here for over 25 years, so very much know what's going on in the landscape in this area as well, with the Promise and all the work that's happening there, very much linked in, and keeping a close eye on the national developments, and so very aware of the policy landscape, I suppose, in terms of living here as well. Personally, I've got an interest in accessible and inclusive comms. I've written research about this. I have, a particular interest from a user journey point of view, use of language, content design, that kind of thing. And I'm really keen to help teams with that as part of this work. So that's just a special interest and some skills that I bring to the pot, I guess. And I shall pass to my colleague, John.
Thanks, Leanne. I'm John Cooper. I'm the fostering recruitment specialist at CAN. Prior to working here, I worked in fostering recruitment at 3 different councils in the English Midlands. And that was, some of it was in the comms team, a lot of it was embedded within the fostering team itself. And that led me to moving on to doing things like initial home visits, running recruitment events, running the pre-approval training, allocating assessments to assessing workers, getting involved with panel admin and all that kind of thing. So I've got a lot of experience of all the mechanisms of how carers come in and get through the other end as approved carers. I've led on the fostering hub that can set up since 2021, and I've had the privilege of working with lots and lots of councils to help them recruit more foster carers, not just on campaign side, but actually sort of running audits of how things are set up and little tweaks they can make to improve things. Thanks, Leanne.
Thanks, John. And Matt.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt from Cannes. I've been a Cannes for over a decade now, which does make me sound older than I look, I know. But my background's been in the murky world of out-of-home TV and print advertising, and yeah, working with over 60 local authorities across the UK on fostering and adoption, and massively passionate about fostering and adoption. Some might say slightly obsessed. But yeah, really looking forward to chatting with you all.
Thanks so much, Matt. So if you're new to our fostering webinars, you might have come along. Some folk have been on the previous one we did focus on search, but really this is a place where we share knowledge, best practice amongst local authorities. We only work with local authorities. We don't work with the private sector. Our ethos and our sort of aim is to support and help local authorities improve user journey and effective use of digital. Really, that's our MO. Our aim is to help them, all councils, recruit more foster carers. We know how difficult it is. We know what the landscape's like. We know that teams are really struggling in terms of capacity and need, sort of smart help really and tools to do this work. We aim very much to bring down the marketing spend per approval, and we really like to help teams actually be able to work out that information so they can report up to SMT and be confident. We really like to help teams be confident about reporting in the marketing spend and working it all back to spend right up to approval stage. So we're experts in and around that. Get a kick out of actually helping folk work that out and be able to prove what they're doing. And we do really feel we are, like, as cheesy as it might sound, because most of the team have come from a public sector background, we are really keen to help council fostering services in a genuine way to succeed. We've got a few tools and we can share them with you. So for the end of the session, once we've gone through a bit of the deck here, we really encourage you to use this as an informal session. Use the chat for any questions as we speak in, for anything that you want us to zone in on, comments, ideas, hints, whatever. And we would really love to hear from you in terms of your top challenges in the chat. We'd really want to, tell us what are your challenges. At the moment, you can put anything in there, not that your teenagers won't, pick up the clothes off the floor, because I haven't sorted that out myself in my own house at the moment, but, anything around foster care recruitment. Obviously, the point of today is use of digital tools and around that, but if there's wider things about nurturing or the follow-on journey, then, put them in the chat and we can either do another session related to what your question is, or we can answer it today, depending on what it is. All right, so I'm passing over to John now. He's going to do this section about the most common challenges.
Thanks, Leanne. Yeah, like I said, I've worked in fostering services and worked with a lot of fostering services, and the same things seem to come up time and time again when we're working with councils. The main thing being we don't get enough enquiries. Also not understanding or knowing or having the capacity to use the best ways to reach potential foster carers. Not enough budget and resources, again, common across everything, not just fostering recruitment. And one of the things that holds councils back a lot is the internal blocks, particularly around website content, and how that on the journey of people becoming foster carers, how important that is and how difficult it can be sometimes to get round the blocks that are there. So I'll go through each one quickly in detail. If you're all right to move the slide on for us, Leanne. Thank you. Yeah, so struggle to generate inquiries, loads of reasons for this. Councils don't always reach the target audience as effectively as they can do. Obviously, private sector, the IFAs, this is something they've mastered. So over the last sort of 15, 20 years, they've made massive advances in knowing their audience, how to reach them, how to target them, and then just kind of stealing a march on councils, really. And when you do reach an audience, again, looking what IFAs do, they're experts at converting that interest into an inquiry at quite a high rate. And there's reasons for that we'll touch on in a bit later. We'll look at Falkirk. A lot of councils have overcome this, and their approach is easy to replicate. It's like some councils think we can't do what IFAs do because of the way IFAs are set up and stuff like that. But there's other ways that councils can do things, and like I say, we'll share what they've done that's easy for any council to replicate. Thanks, Leanne. So not knowing or being able to use the best ways to reach potential foster carers. Like I say, IFAs approaches are usually very different. IFAs, the vast majority of their spend goes on to digital advertising. Council, usually it's the other way around. You know, the vast majority of their spend goes on to traditional advertising, out of home, buses, radio, whatever it happens to be. The IFA approach has resulted in them getting a third of fostering placements, so like a significant market share, whereas councils has declined in that time. Obviously, as IFAs have grown, council shares declined. And like I say, councils can emulate what IFAs do, but they can do it better. Councils have all the cards, really, in terms of your local support, your local training, all of those advantages that people have when they foster for a council rather than an IFA. And it's just a case of communicating that with the audience in the best way, so that when somebody is thinking of fostering, you become the natural choice, and the IFAs just become a sort of, oh, well, they do it as well, but the council is the natural choice for me. Thanks, Leanne. Not enough budget resources. This is true, like I say, for every sort of directorate you get within any council. It's weird to me how the spend on IFAs and residential placement, you know, can run into millions of pounds a month for some councils, and that could be counter-effected by recruiting more of your own foster carers. But the amount that's given to actually recruiting carers is tiny percentage of that in a lot of cases. And if you look at it from a business point of view, it doesn't make sense, but that's just how it is for a lot of councils. What successful councils have done is kind of proven investment works. So they'll do something, they'll demonstrate the return on investment, what that means in cost savings, also the outcomes for kids as well. We can't lose sight of that, but obviously financial pressures mean that the financial stuff comes to the top. And then using that evidence, measuring, right, well, we tried this approach, it's not yielded anything. We've tried this approach, it wasn't too bad. We've tried this approach and this is where it is, so we do more of that. Again, it's something that IFAs do. They constantly move stuff around because they need, you know, they need placements to exist. So they'll invest in whatever's going to give them the best return on investment and get more carers through their doors. When you grow foster care numbers and it's evidenced, and it's kind of like, well, we're giving this little bit of money and it's grown foster care numbers. If we give a little bit more, it'll grow them further. There's some councils we've worked with for some time who in year one, you know, they did really well. Year two, they increased it. Year three, increased it. And now you look back and you think, wow, they were happy with getting, you know, 10 approvals a year. And now they've grown to this number because the investment and the proof of the investment returning stuff has actually come through. Thanks, Leanne. Internal blocks, like I mentioned, I myself have experienced the disconnect you sometimes get between fostering teams and comms teams. I've sat in comms teams and I've also sat in fostering teams. And the most common, or the common denominator of councils that generally recruit a lot of foster carers is where there's a really good, strong, positive relationship between the fostering team and the comms team. And the opposite's true, you know, where you do have a disconnect, often you struggle. Fostering recruitment within councils is unique because comms is comms for councils. It's a case of putting information out there. Because of the competitive nature of fostering recruitment with all the IFAs, fostering needs what you call a performance marketing approach. So it's not just a case of putting information out there to your citizens, like say, you know, your bin gets collected on a Wednesday. that's fine. There's nothing people can do about that, but yeah, put the bin out on a Wednesday. But with fostering, there's a choice, and it's a highly competitive marketplace. And like I say, the IFAs are pretty slick about how they market themselves to get people to inquire and apply and get approved with them. By far the most weakest link in the chain is the online presence. Because of the way that most corporate council sites are structured, they're there just to give information out. You compare your average IFA website with your average council fostering pages, and there's a massive contrast. So if somebody's researching fostering, they go online. If they land on an IFA site, it's there, it's engaging, it's got colour, it's got video content, it's got carers talking about their experiences and everything like that. It's really salesy, and that's kind of what people will get used to. Then they'll go on a council site, which is often, it is just information. It's not very persuasive, it's not very emotive, it's often quite off-putting sometimes the way you navigate around them and so on. But again, councils that have improved their online experience have resulted in much greater numbers of foster carers. So it's something that any council can do to improve and get more carers through the door. Thanks, Leanne. One thing that we do at CAN, this is something I did when I was working in councils, was put myself in the shoes of potential foster carers and think, okay, I'm immersed in this world. I know all the language, I know all the jargon, I know everything about all the myths of, you know, can you foster if this and you can't foster if that. But I also think if somebody's got no idea about fostering, or if they've got lots of myths in their heads that it isn't true, whatever we present to them, however we reach them, whatever messages we use, the imagery, the video content, anything like that, we have to think, like, what is that? How is that going to land? Also, how do they behave? Not like how do we want them to behave or how we think they should behave, but how do they actually behave? And digital shines a light on that in terms of, you know, what people look for online, what they click on, what they don't click on, what they like, what they don't like. So that's something that you need to bear in mind in anything you do with fostering recruitment, not just the marketing, but how you sort of assess people and train people and everything else. And I think that's me done. So I'm going to hand over to Matt now to talk about our approach from the advertising point of view.
Thank you, John. I've got my little Lego assistant. There's a couple of these throughout the slides, so hope you enjoy them. I just wanted to quickly cover off, just as John said, our sort of approach and the strategies that we've learned and refined over the years that really help to drive down that overall cost per inquiry. And paid search, if any of you have been on any of our webinars, we bang this drum day in, day out. It's something the IFAs do so well. They invest so heavily into this search. If any of you in your locations type in anything even remotely associated to fostering into Google and Bing, they're like a pool of hungry sharks vowing for your click. And it really is the lowest of low-hanging fruit. There's people daily searching for terms like how to become a foster carer, how much do I get paid as a foster carer, can I foster with my council? And those terms and searches are going to arrive somewhere, and more likely than not arrive onto an IFA site. And if you could flick to the next slide, Leanne, please. I did a quick little screenshot, and this is just a normal local authority that's got about 200,000 population. But you can see on average, there's 500 searches being done every month for those sort of search terms around foster care recruitment. And they're the people that you need to reach, and they're the ones you need to bring to your landing page. If you think about 6,000 searches over the course of a year, if you're able to get 70% of them through to your landing page, the resulting inquiries that could achieve is just going to knock any other kind of channel out of the park. Next slide, please, Leanne. So what happens a lot of time that John talked on is local authorities invest in that sort of top level media, so the out of home, bus backs, roundabouts, radio, TV, and it does drive awareness and consideration, but of fostering as a whole, not fostering with your council. And what a lot of people do, it's again putting yourself in the shoes of that potential carer. If they see an advert on the back of a bus, what is their sort of journey? Is it to illegally take out their phone and try and take a picture of the URL or write down the phone number? They'll probably go to work or go home, have a chat with their partner, go onto Google or Bing and search something. And then the IFAs are like these little Lego robbers at the bottom, and they're taking all that awareness that the councils have driven up, and they're just taking that inquiry and bringing it through to their landing page themselves. Next one, please, Leanne. If you do want to go down the route of awareness, with all the research that we've done with other campaigns in England, it's around about 277 times more effective using digital. And the last bit of research that we've read is, on average, people use about 2,000 different websites every month. So using digital, you can reach people across every single website that they frequent. So if you imagine if you had a pool of creatives with all those sort of FAQs, same-sex couples, single parents, foster if you've got a dog in the household, and being able to target everyone aged between 25 and 60 in your group across all these sites 10 times with all those creatives for a fraction of the cost of an out-of-home campaign, the impact that you can raise off the back of that is just unmeasurable. Well, it will be measurable, but compared to out-of-home, the impact is just awesome. Next one, please, Leanne. There is other ways that you can start to use targeting that we've seen. We do a lot of testing with different platforms, especially across England, and everyone knows senior leaders and directors of service love some pretty pictures a lot of the time. So finding platforms that you can send these screenshots up the chain. This is Sky News. So we basically target national news sites to a geographical area and then have the ad appear as if it's part of the content. So you can see down the bottom right under the lovely Princess Kate, there's a Hertfordshire fostering creative. I've zoomed in on the right hand side. The next one, Leanne, should be hopefully a picture of the Guardian. And again, this is for West London. A lovely little picture. Looks like it's part of the creative as well on there. And the next page, please, Leanne. And then the next most important bit that you should all be doing is that re-messaging. So, you know, if you ever look at a pair of shoes online and those shoes follow you around the internet, wherever you go for the rest of your life, it's that horrible technology, but used in a good way. And the idea behind it is to be able to remarket to people based on what they have been consuming on the website. So if someone searches for transfer from an IFA to Falkirk Council, they arrive on your webpage, read a bit of content about IFA transfer. A large majority of them won't make an inquiry and will leave the site. But then what you'll see is hopefully having a video of a carer from Falkirk who has switched from the IFA to the council will appear on their socials or appear on their news channels or on Amazon, talking about the benefits, allowances and support that they get with the council, which will keep you front of mind with that potential carer. So when they make that big decision to make an inquiry, they'll come back through to you guys. And then the last little slide, and this is John touched on it as well. It's this user experience is so important. We find a lot of local authority websites, their conversion rate, so number of clicks to inquiry, is below 0.5%, where some really well put together landing pages can achieve almost 7 or 8%. So if you think for every 1,000 clicks you send to your website, with a 0.2% when you're getting 2 inquiries, with a 7% you're getting 70, which is a massive difference. If you work that over the course of the year, the potential approved carers and savings to the council are just, yeah, out of this world. That's it from me.
Brilliant. We're doing brilliant for time, which is not like us actually. So we'll give ourselves a pat on the back for keeping to time, because we are keen to get your questions and answers. As I said at the top of the meeting, we're at a point now with Falkirk. I've seen some of the team have joined actually, so that's great that they're able to join, because we can talk about it, but you can obviously speak to them and hear from them directly about how it's been to work with us for these campaigns. So yeah, we've been working with Falkirk since the autumn, and we just thought it was a really good time to just give you a bit of a walkthrough of what we've been doing with the team and how it's going with them. This here is the landing pages specifically built with the team for this purpose, so give you an idea of the look and the feel of them. So what did the team need? We obviously needed to improve the user journey for coming to look for foster care recruitment in Falkirk, and the team obviously needed recruitment of in-house carers. They needed to very much increase quality inquiries. They need to count a high number of children and young people in residential care. It's particularly high in Falkirk and other areas, some areas in Scotland, obviously, but this was something the team flagged as something that they need to be thinking about. An alternative to the fostering website, really, because the team do have a service related site, you know, so they do have a website that is dedicated to their service, but they just needed a bit of help really with the effective measurement. In and around that, they needed us to sort of just come in and give them some tips in and around user journey, in connection to use of paid media, and we'll talk through, well, I'll talk through what we did to help them with that. But it was just to say that, you know, some folk might look at this and think that we have got our own service related website, but it might not be maybe accessible. It might not be, you know, internally, you might not have the measurement capabilities that you need to have, the pixels, the tech that you need to actually give you the data and the process that you need to be able to be confident with your data. So the team did need a bit of help with that and asked us for that. And they really, really wanted to achieve clear measurement for end to end. So literally what happens when people click on the ad right up to the panel, you know, if people are getting to panel stage. And this is something that we as a team are a bit obsessed with and total geeky about it, and really like to help teams sort of do that. Because I'm a comms background, it's something I'm obsessed with, because it's working in public sector. Often you can't get to the measurement internally, and it's something that we work really hard with the teams to you know, provide a digital platform that'll allow them measurement, or work with what they've got to improve what they can see in terms of data. Everything we do is GDPR compliant. We're fully versed, obviously only working with public sector. We know everything about data management and work with IG and whoever we need to work with to help foster care teams and comms teams to get over some of the inevitable hurdles around being able to measure data. And then finally, the team really, really wanted to get to the point of clear cost per application. We all know that finance at the moment is harder than ever. So every bit of investment, they need to be clear what it will actually cost per application, and we help them, you know, put the things in place really so that they can be confident and clear about what this investment actually means at the end of the day. So what did we do? These are just this is mobile view of the landing pages here that we've created, and this is a form here, and that does appear either mobile or desktop view on every page here for inquiries. We worked really closely with the team to create bespoke landing pages. So linking into that website that did exist for the service, using their colours, just, you know, not reinventing the wheel really, but complementing what they already were working with, making sure it was content designed for usability, and obviously going through the accessibility checks as well. As we know, that's really important. And as I said at the top of the meeting, that's something I'm particularly interested in and like to help the teams deliver. And then, so we created the specific landing pages. Not sure it's very clear here, but it's, you know, common topics, basically payments, criteria to foster, transferring from an IFA. And then these landing pages here is a collection of landing pages, like a mini website, I suppose, work hand in hand then with the ads that we put in live. So we can obviously link to the particular pages depending on the content. They're working to complement each other, you know, very effectively and sort of streamlined. And then I've said it just before there, but the simple, I think this is something that we, you know, would recommend over anything else, is the simple contact form on each page. Make it really easy. As we've said before, the GDPR, the data aspect of this, we go to pains to make sure everything's in place. We work with the teams that we need to work to make sure everyone's happy. Cookie consent, you know, all the consents in place. Absolutely top drawer for all of that. Part of the process. It's very important to us as well. This is the thing that we would say is more important than anything. This is the data that goes to the team to be able to continue the process. And then so we introduced search ads pointing to the landing page. So this is what we mean by a search ad. This is literally what it looks like. So fostering Falkirk, foster care is urgently needed. That then links to the landing page that we created for the team, and then the user goes through what they need to know, makes an inquiry. Or for Meta, there'll be, you know, the Facebook form that they can fill in also goes to the team for onward processing and contact. Then we use specific fostering related terms on Google and Bing. There's a whole science that I'm not going to pretend to know that's for our AdOps teams, but we are specialists in performance there, and performance management, of making sure that in your region you're getting top page, you're being seen where you need to be seen. You know, we have a weekly meeting where we're looking at this thing and we're constantly updating it. That's one of the best things about this kind of marketing, is that it's not one, you know, off you go. We are continually monitoring that on a weekly basis as part of our service. That's what we're doing. For Falkirk, they also wanted to have a wee look at Christmas and also looking at in-person event content. So we've been working with a team, you know, considering like where their in-person event actually are happening, and they've, you know, sort of reviewed that based on conversations, trying to get people through the doors, because obviously meeting people, meeting carers if they can, you know, is obviously part of the process and super important. So we've been doing a bit of trials with the team as well and around that. And then the team do very much now have measurement enabled, so they can see from ad to panel what's happened, and they can track it, which means if they're at panel, or, you know, like, or whatever point they want to measure it to, they can do that from the ads that we have put live for the team. So how's it going? So it's just a general overview, really. I say I'd welcome you to speak to the team for their view on it as well. But the campaign's been running for just over 3 months actually, and it was delivered. It's really has delivered a large number of quality inquiries. So search we use for quality inquiries. We know that using search, they're probably a bit warmer in terms of when they're actually searching. They've seen something somewhere else. Back to what Matt was saying there about how that is used. Some of which they've already gone to fostering assessment within, or on very much on that process, on that journey, just from 3 months of working with us, and that is actually happening just now. We're really, really pleased for the team. Google search ads have performed particularly strongly, outperforming competition from all the IFAs in the area. So in Falkirk particularly, there was a really high level of competition in search, but you know, we've managed to sort of keep them performing really, really well. So they've delivered a high rate of search to click and click to inquiry, and the team are able to track the data. I've just talked about that. We'll be looking at retargeting options in the future. So that's like looking at websites in their estate, say like the leisure type of websites and other sort of related council related estate, not so much the corporate site, but other online presence that they might have, to look at retargeting options on there in the future. So just a few tools in the box, in the back pocket, basically, to just keep the performance moving along. And the team are looking at the nurturing process now to maximise the leads and having a look at best practice for that part of the process. And that's the next, I guess, the next part of the process for them. Once they've got the leads through the door, what happens next? I'm just going to pass to John.
Thanks, Leanne. Yeah, what we're offering to all the councils in Scotland, we've done this with the ones that we work with already, obviously, but basically a free like front door audit, that we call it. We know that a lot of councils have room for improvement in this area, so we look at basically, like say, putting yourself in the shoes of a potential foster carer. If somebody's thinking of fostering in your area, what are they going to encounter, not just from you but from your competitors as well, and how your journey compares with competitors. Look at what you're good at, what you could do with improving, and make some recommendations. So the majority of that is looking at your website and how people would reach your website, what the content's like on there, how easy it is to make an inquiry with you, how quick you respond, all that sort of thing. And we're happy to do this for free. It's a lot of, there's a playbook. That again, it comes from how IFAs have done it, but a lot of councils have copied that really successfully as a formula of, you know, A, B, C, D, E. If you've got all those links in that chain strong, then you're going to get a lot of good quality inquiries through. So if you're interested in that, please take me up on the offer. Drop us an email. I'll put my email in the chat as well. But yeah, get in touch, and yeah, we'll help you out.
Thanks, John. So just a bit of a note about what's coming up. We're gonna, over this year, I've been in post now for a year. I've got my feet under the table, got a good idea about what folk could need in a bit more. We're going to have a webinar focusing on the nurturing process next, so that's the 11th of March. So if you're interested, look out for the sign up for that. That's, so I suppose it naturally follows on from this about the next part of the process. Also, there's a national webinar with Foster Network, Making the Most of Foster Care Fortnight. We'll have a Scottish input into that, and that's on Tuesday the 4th of March, 2 to 3. So that would be great if you can join us on that and have a good Scottish contingent there as well. That'd be great. We're really, really keen to have a free in-person shared learning event in Scotland, like a community of learning type thing, probably somewhere central like Glasgow. And we've mentioned it a few times to folk who've come to previous webinars, so just testing the water again to see if that would be useful for folk to come together, have a bit of a practical. I'm all about a practical workshop rather than 20 hours of PowerPoint presentations, looking at use of digital, maybe having a chat as a community in Scotland, particularly focusing in on use of digital, and having the 3 councils that we're working with in Scotland at the moment to maybe share their learnings with the rest of folk who've yet to work with CAN or want to learn about some of the tools and processes that might help the teams be a bit more efficient in around this. We've got a newsletter for wider information. All we do for CAN, we do really specialise in foster care recruitment, but any campaign that you might need for children's services, waste, anything, shake a stick at, we actually do all of this wider work as well. So it's quite useful to maybe just get ideas, what we're doing down south as well. Again, I'm here as a resource for Scotland, so I cover all topics as well. Anything that you need, and if you're from wider bits of the service, give us a shout for that as well. And that's it for the presentation. Our names are there. Please get in touch with us. Obviously, John, if you want the audit, we're really keen actually. If you want to share benchmarking information, we can do sort of a bit of a look at that if that's helpful as well. But the wee audit for the digital presence is probably super helpful for a look about and seeing what you can do. Just as the start for 10, I suppose, and looking at the user journey and the user experience to improve quality applications. What would be really good to know is if there's any appetite for an in-person, because we don't want to offer it if folk aren't bothered. We can do more online. I do think that getting in a room for a morning and just scrumming what's needed in and around this kind of topic might be helpful. So let us know and we'll set it up. It will be absolutely free. We even might give you a scone and a cup of tea if you're lucky. We'll put it on and bring everyone together if you think that is useful. John and I particularly are really keen to do face-to-face stuff and sort of host that. Yeah, all right. Well, I will wrap it up there. Thanks so much, everybody, for your time. Loved seeing so many folk on the call. It's really great to see so many of you. Get in touch with me in the first instance if there's anything we can do. John, myself and Matt work really closely together as a team, and we're happy to have a sort of follow-on chat with anybody who wants to talk about any aspect of it. All right, have a good afternoon, everyone.
Nice to meet you all.
Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.